Campaign rally for one of the parliamentary aspirants in Kabete constituency in Kiambu County ended in disarray after rowdy youths ambushed and pelted the campaign convoy with stones. The attack occurred as vehicles of James Wanjohi Njoroge sneaked through Kiamba area when a group of youth appeared and started throwing stones to the vehicles. Onlookers ran for their dear lives as the youths sustained injuries in the attack. Now the youths who were in Wanjohi's convoy ran after the attackers and chased them away before they proceeded with the campaigns. Wanjohi, who hopes to contest the Kabete constituency seat on the party of independent candidates of Kenya ticket, condemned the act and called on all parliamentary aspirants to hold peaceful campaigns. He also asked the youth not to allow themselves to be involved or misused by politicians. We'll be battling out with the current MP and local government assistant minister Louis Nguyai among other candidates in that constituency. Moving on, the planned digital migration from analog television signals to digital signals in Kenya is expected to take longer. This follows a decision by the High Court to halt the process until a case filed by a consumer group is heard and determined at a date slated for after the March 4th general elections.
On 30th November 2012, the government issued a notice of switching off all analog television transmissions within Nairobi at the end of the year. This was part of the ongoing migration to digital TV signal in the country. The process was to begin with Nairobi before rolling over to other parts of the country. However, on the 10th of December 2012, the Consumer Federation of Kenya (COFEK) moved to the High Court and filed an application seeking to block the government plan to effect the digital migration deadline by the end of December 2012. In the suit, COFEK wanted the High Court to compel the Information Ministry and the Communication Commission of Kenya (CCK) to delay the deadline until the global deadline of June 2015. COFEK argued that the notice was too short and inappropriate considering the festive season, economic challenges facing Kenyans soon after the holidays. The lobby group further told the High Court that purchasing the required set-top boxes to switch to digital television will be expensive to most consumers who might not have sufficient funds at the time. Today, the High Court extended the hold on the digital migration and ordered the parties to agree on an amicable deadline, preferably after the March 4th elections. Philip, KTN for News Desk.
Well, Edith, I didn't see your tweet on the MP's send-off package.
You know, the media is really being accused of not taking an active role when it comes to the issue of MPs and their so-called greed. But I don't know, I feel like we're being wrongly accused here.
But really, the message that is coming out is the president should not sign this bill. What would be your sentiments if you are the ordinary Kenyans? What do you feel, the ordinary Kenyan out there, what goes to his mind?
Well, obviously I'm sharing the concerns with everyone else. I don't want my money to be spent on things that don't benefit me as a Kenyan, but that's a discussion we can take over later. Right now, though, to the same politicians, and a new survey indicates that the presidential race is shaping up into a two-horse race, and if elections were to be held today, Prime Minister Raila Odinga's Cord Alliance will get 49% of the votes cast, while Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Alliance will garner 40% of the votes, according to the survey released by opinion polling firm Infotrack. It also indicates that Musalia Mudavadi's UDF will attract 3% of the votes, while Peter Kenneth's Eagle Alliance will get 2% of the votes. While Cord is popular in Nyanza and northeastern regions, Jubilee commands central Kenya. The coast and Nairobi regions are considered as areas that could swing either way. Infotrack Chief Executive Angela Ambido now joins us live on the phone from Lavington. Thank you for joining us, Angela. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Edith.
All right, the first question, why do you keep churning out these opinion polls and yet politicians keep saying that they don't believe them, they don't trust them, they think they're manufactured?
Right. Edith, opinion polling and democracy go hand in hand. It's perhaps the only way, opinion polls are the only ways that one can gauge the views of people in a scientific and consolidated manner. Now, having said that, the results may not always be pleasing to those in power and those who hold the instruments that govern us, but that doesn't mean that they're not true or right. In fact, quite to the contrary, this is perhaps why they don't like the figures. The figures themselves are, very transparent. We, very clearly stipulate what our methodology is. And in many cases, we invite people to come with us to the field so they can actually see how the data is collected.
All right, let's get to the latest opinion poll. And this is the first time that we're seeing how people are voting when it comes to alliances. Are we seeing people's thinking changing, or is it pretty much the same as it was?
I think it's the first of two things. One, the alliances as they are, but also that we have used the BVR as at 18th December to guide our sampling frame. So right now we have only talked to registered voters, as was stipulated by IBC. And what we do see is there are certain changes because there's been consolidating of, voters or, supporters based on the alliances that have been formed. So you now see that CORD has 49% popularity as an alliance, and the ticket holders, Raila and Kalonzo, have 51% popularity rating. And then we also see that, the Jubilee ticket is also quite popular. They too have a popularity rating of about 39%. That makes us believe that the previous studies that we have done that have pointed towards or predicted that there would be a two-horse race have perhaps not been so far off.
Okay, and before I let you go, I do have to ask, a lot of people are always asking who is financing these opinion polls and how many people do you sample in what particular regions? Right.
Now, the polls themselves in our case are actually funded by Infotrack. This is the reason why, Edith, we can release the data to you and to every other media house in the manner that we please. Having said that, we can share the information thereafter with anybody who wants to see the data. The sampling frame, as I had mentioned, is guided by the voters' roll, the current voters' roll as has been given, which is still tentative. And we split it across the regions. That information is actually with all the people that attended the press briefing today, so that it is proportionate to the number of voters in each region. So that, for instance, Coast would get that proportion of 8% of total voters' roll. And Rift Valley would get 21%, Central would get 15%, Eastern would get 15%, Northeastern gets 2%, etc., just as is guided by the current voters' roll.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We've been speaking to Angela Ambitho, who is the chief executive of Infotrack, who've just released a new opinion poll which shows that should an election be held today, Raila Odinga's CORD Alliance will get 49% of the votes compared to Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Alliance, which will have 40%, followed by Musalia Mudavadi's UDF, which will have 3%, and Peter Kenneth's Eagle Alliance will get 2%. More details of this poll will be coming to you in subsequent bulletins. Do stay tuned. And still on politics, the temperatures in Nyeri County when it comes to politics are on the rise as the race for the governor's seat gets higher. Already, 3 politicians have declared their interest in the seat. Former Mathare legislator Nderito Gachagua of GNU, outgoing Nyeri County Council Chairman Wachira Kin, who is hoping to clinch the TNA nomination ticket, and businessman Dr. Thuo Mathenge of Sabasaba Asili. The latest entrant also hoping to vie for a TNA ticket is Dr. Wahome Gakuru, who launched his bid last night at a ceremony in a Nyeri hotel. Dr. Gakuru is a member of the Vision 2030 team, and he said he had big dreams for the county of Nyeri that is now on the spotlight as President Mwai Kibaki prepares to retire from active politics. Some of the issues the people of Nyeri would want their leaders to improve on are facilitation of more markets for their agricultural produce and improved infrastructure. Joining us now by way of telephone to talk about that particular issue is Karen Derry in Nyeri County. Karen Derry, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon. I can hear you very well.
All right. We understand that the temperatures are rising and it's so close to the party nomination date. What are these aspirants saying?
Well, Edith, just as you have mentioned, we now have 4 major contenders for the gubernatorial seat who have expressed interest. And perhaps if we can look at some of the factors to determine just who might clinch the seat for the governor of Nyeri, we have the party issue. And TNA is quite popular in Nyeri County and largely in central Kenya. And because TNA is quite dominant, so it is likely that whoever will clinch the seat is the one who will have won the TNA nomination, because it is a much sought after ticket here in Nyeri. However, you cannot overlook some of the other parties here, like the Grand National Union Party, that is KTN, as it was in existence even before TNA was formed. And we have one of the contenders, that is Nyeri Gachagua. He is the former Madera legislator and is now vying for the governor's seat on a GNU ticket. And let it be said that Nyeri Gachagua has the financial muscle, so it's not automatic that TNA will clinch the seat, but those who will, or rather the person who will get the nomination is likely to take home the seat at the end of the day. The others that we have Wachira King. Edith is the outgoing county council chair, and you can almost say that he has been the unofficial governor of Nyeri, because as the county council chairman, then he has been overlooking the operations of the Nyeri County, so his chances are also good. He wants to vie on the TNA ticket, and that alongside Dr. Wahome Gakuru, so that means two of them, Dr. Wahome Gakuru and Wachira King, are hoping to win the TNA nomination. So it's head-to-head, and whoever will take the TNA ticket, then he will be the person to contend on that ticket for the governor's seat. We have Dr. Dhuo Madenge on Sabasaba Asili. He is an influential businessman here in Nyeri and a pioneer of the poultry industry, particularly in Nyeri County. And so local farmers have been equipped with the poultry farming skills from Dr. Dhuo Madenge. He's also a bit popular. So it's a bit tricky. The temperatures, as you've said, Edith, are rising and a bit tight. So may the best man win, Edith.
Thank you very much, Karen Derry, bringing us an update on the aspirants of the Nyeri governorship seat. And of course, she'll be giving us more details of this throughout the day, so do stay tuned for our subsequent bulletins. The Judges and Magistrates Vetting Board is targeting to grill about 108 magistrates by the end of next month to determine whether they are suitable to continue serving in the judiciary. The board hopes to complete the vetting of all magistrates in the country before the end of this year in an effort to restore public confidence in the judiciary. Board member Ngodho Kariuki has appealed to the public to volunteer to the board both positive and negative information on magistrates to facilitate in the vetting process. Ngodho led a team from the board to Murang'a County, where they held a public forum to sensitize residents on the role of the board and why public participation was key in ensuring a revamped and reformed judiciary. Ngodho observed that many locals were not conversant with the roles of the board, and so residents of Murang'a called upon the board to educate the public on the vetting process. They also asked the judiciary to use the provincial administration to enlighten the public on legal matters.
People don't know exactly how the process works, and we tried to explain it. Then the people also sometimes don't understand that they can bring in information anywhere. We have also explained it. The other major problem we noted here is that people have had problems of some cases, but they did not know where to go. They also have problems with some advocates, with some other court clerks, and all those matters were raised.